Ikigai is a Japanese concept that roughly translates to a reason to live. These are the most important lessons that I learned from Ikigai, the Japanese secret to living a long and happy life. This book talks a lot about Okinawa. It's a small island in Japan and it has the most centenarians in the world, which is people who live over 100. It dives into the things that keep their mind and body working for such a long lifespan, and also about their life purposes. The first lesson is the 80% rule, which is a Japanese concept called harahachibu, and it means fill your belly to 80% full. You see, it's easy to overeat, especially with all the options that we have today. But overeating not only makes us feel more tired, but it also wears down our body much quicker. Our digestive system is working much harder to process all of this food, which actually leads to a shorter lifespan. So next time that you eat, try to eat a little bit less than you usually would. And one way to achieve this is by, instead of just using one large plate, maybe try and split your food up into 5 smaller plates. This tricks your mind into thinking that you actually have more food than what you see. And that's because any amount of food can look small on a large plate, but on 5 different smaller plates, that's going to look like a lot of food and it'll make you feel like you've eaten more. On to the next lesson from Ikigai. And while we're talking about food, the people of Okinawa have some simple food habits that contribute to their long and happy life. The first one is a different variety of food. A study of Okinawa's centenarians showed that they ate 206 different foods, and on average they ate 18 different foods per day. The second is a diet that includes lots of fruit and vegetables. The centenarians eat at least 5 servings of fruit and vegetables per day. And one way of making sure that they get enough variety is by making their table look like a rainbow. So the table could look something like broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, peppers, tomatoes, eggplants. This shows lots of different colours and a larger variety that is definitely ideal. The third one is grains. Grains like rice and sometimes noodles are the foundations of the Okinawans' diet, and they eat these every day. The fourth is no sugar. The Okinawans tend not to eat sugar, but if they do, they eat cane sugar. I don't really need to explain this one because everyone knows the bad effects of sugar and eating too much of it. The third lesson from Ikigai is to stay active. One surprising thing about the people of Okinawa is that they're still so active despite their age. Every morning they'll wake up early, do their stretches, then go out to see to their gardening. Then later on they'll walk to their friend's house and play some games or sing karaoke. They don't sit around for too long reading the newspaper or staring out the window because they know that movement is good for the body and that being sat for too long will slowly seize your body and it will make you age quicker. Everyone knows the feeling of sitting on your sofa for too long or sitting at work all day. Once you finally want to stand up and move around, you find it much harder to do and you actually struggle. If you do have to work at a desk all day or something similar, then I recommend every once in a while standing up and taking a break. Have a little walk around and get your body moving. And if you can't do that, maybe try and stand while you're at your desk, still working. The fourth lesson of Ikigai is to manage your stress. Stress kills longevity. Everybody knows how stress can affect your mood and your mind, but stress can also have a major impact on our body and our health. Studies have proven that stress can lead to lots of different illnesses and problems in our body, which is why it's so important to manage our stress. Practice these next lessons and they could dramatically improve how you deal with stress. Ikigai's fifth lesson is to practice negative visualization. To be prepared to deal with misfortune or privileges taken away from them. The Stoics used to practice negative visualization by asking themselves and focusing on what is the worst thing that could happen. Seneca, who was one of the richest men in ancient Rome, he was an active Stoic himself, and he also used to practice negative visualization. He would imagine, or even sometimes put himself in certain situations where he had to go for weeks without his servants, or his luxury foods and drinks that he was used to. This was actually a big deal considering his wealth status and the life that he was used to living. But he actually found it to be a lot easier than he had thought, and that everything actually just worked out just fine without it. And he was able to manage his stress that would come from it. The same could be said for you. You might be scared to lose your job, but ask yourself, what would really happen if you lose your job today? Yeah, you might have to look for a new job and become financially stable again, but you'll no longer have to reply to all them emails or attend all those meetings. Maybe it might not be as bad as you actually may think. Lesson number 6 from Ikigai is to create options in order to reduce stress. Instead of having one income, try to make money from your hobbies, or maybe start a business on the side. That way, if your employer does fire you, you're not left with nothing. Also, if you have other options, losing your job might actually be a blessing, because it might allow you more time on your other business, which in turn begins to bring in more money than your other job ever did. The same idea goes for friendships and personal interests as well. As the saying goes, don't put all your eggs in one basket. The 7th lesson from Ikigai is to work on your mind. Just as physical exercise is good for your body, our mind is just as important, because our mind and our body are connected to each other. It has been shown that maintaining an active and adaptable mind is a key factor in staying young. Israeli neuroscientist Shlomo Brzezinets says that the brain needs a lot of stimulation to stay in shape, but a lot of us, and especially older people, get into the habit of doing the same things every day without thinking, which leads our brain to get lazy because it doesn't need to think anymore. To exercise your brain, you need to be feeding it new information for it to have a mental workout. Some simple ways to give your brain a workout might be dealing with new situations, learning something new every day, playing games and interacting with people. Lesson 8 from Ikigai is take it slow. One common thing that the Okinawans recommend is living an unhurried life. Take life slower, because to them a slow life equals a better quality of life. Don't mistake taking things slow for doing nothing. The people of Okinawa are constantly busy and active, but instead they don't rush the things that they do. Instead, they'll take things one at a time and properly live in the moment whilst doing it. Many people tend to think that the more fast-paced and rapid life means a life lived to the fullest. But living like this is just going to lead to mental exhaustion and then lead into stress, which we've already learned is a major factor for lower longevity. But if we take things slower, like the people that have lived for 100 years teach us, we can begin to appreciate our surroundings, enjoy the company we have with us, live in the moment and live with less stress. Lesson 9 from Ikigai, and maybe the most important one for some people. Find your purpose. It would be great to live to 100 years old, but without meaning or purpose, it would feel empty and pointless. Viktor Frankl, the author of Man's Search for Meaning, spent years in a concentration camp during World War II. Almost everyone that he knew and loved died during those years. When he was freed, he founded the school of logotherapy. It's a type of therapy where the main idea is to use a motivational force to drive the patient into finding a reasons to live, or in other words, give their life purpose. He who has a why to live for can bear with almost any how. Logotherapy and its concept is what kept Viktor going during the Holocaust. It is what gave him purpose. Having a purpose doesn't necessarily mean changing the world and touching the lives of millions of people. Your purpose could be as simple as providing for your kids and your family. It could be helping your friends or supporting your community. When children of Okinawa are born, they're put into small groups of people to form close relationships with and to look out for each other. They call this moe, and over the course of their life, they meet on a regular basis to give each other social, financial and emotional support to each other. Each moe operates differently depending on the mutual interest of the group, but every moe gives the person a place that they can belong to, and it's a way of giving them all a purpose, for themselves and for each other. Lesson number 10 from Ikigai is to seek flow. Flow is a state that we can tune into, and it is described as a state in which people are so involved in an activity that nothing else seems to matter. The experience is so enjoyable that people will continue to do it even at great cost, for the sheer sake of doing it. You've probably experienced flow countless of times. Remember that time that you spent reading a book and forgot as the world went by, until when you realised that the sun was setting and you hadn't even eaten yet. Or maybe when you go surfing and don't realise how many hours that you were actually in the water until you're very sore the next day. This is the state of flow, the complete bliss of experiencing life in the moment. The past, the future, none of that matters. All that matters right now is the words on the page or the wave that you're gliding along. Seek your flow and you might just find your happiness, because the happiest people are not the ones who achieve the most, They are the ones who spend more time than others in a state of flow. Thanks for watching, guys, and I really hope that you enjoyed these lessons as much as I did. If so, please leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I'll leave a link for the book in the description for where you can buy it, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.